She sells seashells by the seashore. An infamous tongue twister that many have heard before, but little know the true story behind it. A story of a woman drawn to the path of palaeontology in a time when men took over and were prejudiced amongst others. Back then, she was not taken seriously and had no credit to her discoveries. But today, she is to be recognized as the woman who had made discoveries of some of the most infamous of prehistoric creatures. It is here where she sold fossils. It is here where she lived. It is here that is the legacy of Mary Anning. The time of the Jurassic has taken its first steps. Dinosaurs have now officially taken over the planet. The remnants of the Permian have come to an extinction, and near the end of the Triassic period, an extinction event wiped out synapsids, and now the dinosaurs that lived in their shadows dominate the landscape. However, in the skies and the seas, a different variation of reptile control the designated niches. Although they may look like dinosaurs, these animals are a different clade of reptile. These flying reptiles are a group of animals known as the pterosaurs. The arms are skinny, long, and narrow. Their fingers stretch out in extreme measures, and in between the long finger digits is a layer of skin which gives them their wings and allows them to fly. These particular pterosaurs are known as Dimorphodon. For now, these variations are small and bat-sized, but as the age of the Mesozoic continues on, they will become larger in size with extreme multiple variations. Before long, they will become just as infamous as the dinosaurs. In these parts of the world, dinosaurs rarely set foot in these coastal woods, and with predators lacking, by default, these flying reptiles remain as the top predators of this small ecosystem. Lizards and insects take cover in the foliage, hiding themselves from these predatory pterosaurs. To a Dimorphodon, these small animals give a nutritious diet in their lifestyle, The ability to fly allows themselves to swiftly catch up to tricky flying insects, a prey animal that was once merely difficult for any other vertebrates. Despite having such a robust head, the head of Dimorphodon is surprisingly light. With a fast motion from the jaw, these pterosaurs are able to snatch and catch fast insectivorous prey with ease. A toothy structure in their jaws allows the ability of grip as well as to slice up their newly captured meals. As the Mesozoic era moves forward, the pterosaurs will diverse into larger forms. The teeth will eventually disappear, and the hard keratinous beak will shift into an ecosystem of different niches. Birds may control the skies today, but once upon a time, reptiles ruled the air. At the end of the Triassic period, a drastic change has been made to the formation of the planet. The once supercontinent Pangaea has now been split into two separate continents, Laurasia and Gondwana. And in between the split, a new ocean has formed. An ocean that would continue to exist throughout the entirety of the Mesozoic era. The Tethys Sea. For the most part, the oceans are not too different than the ones of today. Coral reefs still fluctuate the oceans with life, and fish are not even considered as a new and fresh in the evolution network. The one core difference that differentiates the now and the then is what dominates the ocean biome. Today, whales, seals, and mammals in general take part in the ecosystem. But here, mammals are still in their rodent stages, held back by the dinosaurs. So instead, a new breed of animals exploit the aquatic lifestyle. Marine reptiles. The swarm of fish have been split apart by ichthyosaurs. Their appearance is not to be fooled by neither dolphin or fish. These animals are reptiles, and they've evolved the same traits from their past and future counterparts that will best fit their ability for survival. A streamlined body built to swim fast, and a long narrow head holding serrated teeth, which is used to catch slippery prey like fish and squid. A classic representation of convergent evolution. Whatever works is bound to reappear again. These groups of dolphin mimics have gathered here together from many corners of the Jurassic Ocean. These swarms of ichthyosaurs are all female, and they have gathered here for the same reasons. They have come to make way for the next generation of ichthyosaurs. Each ichthyosaur is pregnant with an infant, and they are expected to give birth sometime in the month. So for now, they will live their lives here in the coral reefs, where they too were born and fed on the resources provided. The reefs provide an excellent housing point for the first chapter of the ichthyosaur's lifetime. Their small infant bodies can cleanly hide under the coral reefs, and the provision of fish can be a lasting food source for the young. As long as they stay clear of the sharks and other predatory fish, someday the young will live long enough to join the swarms that their mothers lived in. Nowadays, ocean reptiles breach to the land to lay their eggs, but in the Mesozoic times, marine reptiles will find land to be an obstacle that will end up causing their external rest. Unlike sea turtles, who have the muscles to pull their bodies across the land, ichthyosaurs and many of the sea reptiles that are to come will not be suitable for terrestrial entrance. So instead, they must have a new method of breeding. Like mammals today, ichthyosaurs give birth to live young. A gelatinous sac hidden inside the pelvis surrounds the infant, and when the time is right of birth, the young will exit and must immediately learn how to swim and take their first breath of fresh air. As the Jurassic period moves forward, these reptiles will continue to dominate the Tethys Sea. Their numbers will grow and expand to a diversity of different species. Some species even grow into colossal sizes, as large as whales. But unfortunately, these reptiles will die out before the Mesozoic even ends. By the time the Cretaceous rolls over, ichthyosaurs would be nothing but a distant memory. But one reptile will live throughout the entirety of the Mesozoic era and live long enough to witness the KT extinction. Plesiosaurs. Starting their lineage back in the Triassic, their ancestors once had legs instead of flippers, and with an entire ecosystem left untouched, opportunity arose and they took their lives to the sea. They are one of the most successful marine reptiles in the entire Mesozoic era. These specific plesiosaurs are none other than the animals the entire lineage is named after, the Plesiosaurus. These pods of plesiosaurs have come after the rich numbers of fish in the reef, a prey that is common in these ocean areas but doesn't come without effort. Their small, slender bodies make swift work in avoiding danger, and forming groups thick enough to cloud the sunlight may disorient any predators that attempt to snare the fish. But for the plesiosaurs, they have the method to catch the agile prey, which would lead them to a survival that would last to the final days. Their four flippers propel themselves through the Tethys Sea to match up with their fast prey, and their long necks are the foundations of their survival, allowing them to reach across tight crevices where small prey may hide, and their long, thin-pointed teeth captures fish like a caged trap. Within an hour, a clade of plesiosaurs would have already consumed 1,000 pounds worth of fish. To the ichthyosaurs, the plesiosaurs are seen as competition, another animal that feeds on the same prey that they do, an interspecies competition. But right now, the problem is not that they're eating the same food. With the ichthyosaurs in the middle of breeding season and the plesiosaurs feeding not too far away, their young are now in grave danger. Normally, the plesiosaurs would rely feeding on fish, but the opportunity of a small and fragile infant would be difficult to ignore such an easy meal. Under normal circumstances, an ichthyosaurus has no rhyme or reason to attack a plesiosaurus. But with newborns expected not too far away, the risk of infanticide is too extreme. They ward their attackers off through bites. The ichthyosaur's teeth are only built to catch fish and squid, so the plesiosaurs are in no danger from the ichthyosaurs, but the bite is still rough enough to leave a nasty scar. However, despite the aggravated efforts, the plesiosaurs still lurk near, their eyes ever vigilant. For now, the fish may fulfill them, but if the opportunity arises, they may temporarily change their diet. But amidst the struggle, a new reptile has shown itself, one that dwarfs the plesiosaurus. "5 meters in length, merely twice as larger than the plesiosaurus. Attenborosaurus is the king of this coastline." The reef is territory to this large male, and he will wear off competing rivals if he has to. A scenario that the Attenborosaurus has experience in. The plesiosaurus are to be wise to neglect a confrontation with the Attenborosaurus. With the plesiosaurus driven away, the future of the ichthyosaurus are for now less at risk. But nature is a desperate force. Once the young are dispersed from their mothers, they will be left to fend for themselves in the coral reefs. Sharks are still forces of nature that will kill the infants for a good chance of a snack. And even the Atomburosaurus is a threat that will likely hunt them in the future. But once they reach adulthood, they too would eventually join the flocks that their parents swim in. In life, Mary Anning scoured the coastlines in search of fossils. She made a living in these artifacts and sold her findings in her own fossil shack. The major discoveries she has made were taken away from scientists with high pride, and by the time her age extinguished, she was merely only known as a woman that sold seashells in a small town in Europe. But in the age of today, the truth is no longer concealed. Now she is recognized as one of the most important early figures in paleontology. A woman that gave out the fascinating information of marine and flying reptiles. She is the queen of paleontology and will forever be remembered as the woman that told the world that reptiles ruled the oceans and skies of the Mesozoic